help me welcome your presenter for tonight, AG Garcia.
Thank you so much, EJ. Well, good evening, everybody. Jackie, that's how you spell your name. That's so cool. There's a bunch of you guys that I'm seeing here for the first time. Welcome, welcome. I'm broadcasting live from Dallas, Texas. Used to be a resident of Southern California. Also used to be a resident of the Republic of the Filipinas. Um, but yeah, I want to give you guys I'm so glad EJ mentioned about uh, just about April being financial literacy month, because I believe tonight, depending on your predisposition or your identity of what you believe you can accomplish in life, is I think it's going to open your mind as far as what's possible, but also help you be aware of what's going to stop you or block you from being able to do the things that you want to be able to do. So let me get started with my short presentation. Um, I have here my first slide that says this is what we do. Wealth architects, we got legacy creators here, we got the Leaders Factory, we got Team Positive Impact. But all of us, we want to help families literally design and build a strong financial foundation. There's a lot of words here: design, build, strong financial foundation. And as I go through my few slides here, I'm going to be able to walk you through a little journey of what can happen to your life if you just equip yourself with the right information, right tools, but more importantly, surround yourself with the right people who's going to be able to help you navigate through this whole financial landscape that we're all dealing with right now. So this is our mission. Every business has a mission. The mission is essentially what will drive our passion, and our mission is to inspire people to join our cause and challenge the current belief that the American dream is no longer attainable. I want you to take a moment here and just start thinking about this statement, because the statement could either be something that you've been wondering about, could either be something that drove you to build something or whatever you're doing right now, whether you're working for someone or you're building a business. Um, the American dream was for me was the reason why I left the Philippines and came here, and to be able to build a dream life. And just like what EJ was sharing, what I thought was about to become my dream life at 30 years old, I thought I was going to retire financially free at 30. Instead, I lost my business, lost my house, my car started getting repoed, and we were literally sitting on over $100,000 of debt. And but the thing about what they say about resilience and always seeing the silver lining when things like that happens, if you have just this predisposition for succeeding, you start thinking that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And if you're surrounded by the right people, I'm married to my best friend, my soulmate, my wonderful wife, and she was the one who kind of like helped carry us through. But through a friend of mine of church, this got me started on this wonderful journey that we embarked in the last going on 17 years now, which I feel like was the best decision I've ever done in my whole life. And I continue to just pay this thing forward, because I believe this information is going to make the difference between what you can have in the future versus, maybe just barely living or barely surviving in the future. So I'll throw you that question. What is your dream? Hello, Belaine. What's your dream? And I have to ask you, were you forced to reduce the size of your dream to fit the size of your paycheck? Okay. If you're open and willing, I would love you to maybe type maybe a one line that would describe your dream. Is it something that you want to do for yourself, for your family? Is it something that you want to do for your parents? Maybe something that you want to do for the community. Maybe it's something that you've thought about all your life. And maybe it's something that's either tangible or intangible. We all have dreams. That's the most common thing about us humans and people. We all have dreams and we all want our dreams to come true. But sometimes most of these dreams, it kind of comes with a bit of a price tag, right? Whether it's going to be that dream house or that dream school you want to go to. There you go, right? Live financially free to be a blessing to my family and community. And as you type your dreams, I'd like for you guys to be super specific. Super specific. Have something in detail, and don't ever feel like it's a because it's your dream. No one can, no one should refute that. That's what you want to be able to achieve. That's what you want to be able to do, and yeah, that's what we all are working hard to get towards. And there's a saying that if you don't dream big enough, right, and you don't aspire to build something towards your dream, someone will hire you to build theirs. And so I just want to have you guys think about that a little bit because if you're just kind of like just working day to day and really just going to the monotony of the work that has to be done, and whether you love what you do or maybe what you do is kind of like you're looking for some more excitement or or maybe some more growth in what you're doing. I really believe if you pursue your dreams, it brings out the best version of you. It brings out the best version of you. And I truly, truly believe that. So let me just share with you what is it that we exactly do. And I'll go through some financial concepts. And again, because it is Financial History Month. Um, so what do we do? Well, the first thing we want to do is to be able to help people achieve what I call their financial freedom goal, right? Essentially, we have this phrase that we call financial independence number, FIN, financial independence number. Um, it's how you can save and grow your money to a point that your total net worth, right? You've probably heard that term, net worth, is going to be able to sustain you or provide income for you, whether you work that day, that year, that month, or not, right? So your financial independence number is something that some people they think of it as a retirement number, but there are people who do retire that it doesn't mean they're financially independent. It just means they're going to get Medicare and Social Security. But financial freedom is a totally different number. It's having the freedom, having the security, and having the peace of mind and peace of heart. So that's the first thing. The second one is to be able to protect the things that you care about the most, whether it's your family, whether it's your ability to be able to provide, whether it's your assets, whether it's assets that you inherited or assets that you built or assets that you bought. It's essentially everything that's being able to allow you to provide the life for your family, for yourself, to make sure that no matter how strong the storm that's going to hit you, whether it's going to be a recession, whether it's going to be whatever they're going to do with taxes and anything, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you. But more importantly, maybe having a sickness or maybe your number gets called. That happens too. So protect all of that and make sure that that you're taking care of is going to be taken care of. And the third one is something that is a little bit for some people they may not be thinking about. I'll be honest, I wasn't thinking about that. Oh, we got a bunch of really good dreams over here. 100-acre legacy property, right? Live in a world no one, lack their basic needs, dream to create a foundation. Okay, we'll go over that a little bit. Go ahead and just keep on typing. But the third one is something that maybe not everyone thinks about. But it is possible. It is possible. Um, transferable income and being able to pass on wealth and build a legacy is something that wealthy people have done through decades and centuries. You guys have probably shopped at a store called Walmart, right? And so the original owner of that passed away, But he was able to transfer the actual business, the income of the business, the ownership of the business to his three children. As a matter of fact, as a family, if you actually add the Walton children's net worth, they're probably one of the most, if not the wealthiest family in America, if you combine their total net worth. And so you can build those transferable assets. When I was an architect, if I were to, I don't know, pass away, knock on wood, my income as an architect would stop. And that won't, if I'm making 100,000 a year, 150, 200,000, that can't continue to my children, to my wife, because they're not an architect, right? If I was a doctor, an engineer, lawyer, right? It doesn't continue. It can't be transferred. But Sam Walton was able to transfer his income, his business, and I want you to think and kind of like frame your thinking to think about things that way, because we do want to elevate families financially, and it all starts with a mindset. So I'm going to share with you guys here a couple of financial concepts. I'm going to start with what really drew my attention. The first time I saw this thing, it's called the Rule of 72. In a way, this is a mathematical formula. Gonna keep it simple, but it actually affects most of the things that you're going to be dealing with financially in your life. And the way it works is if you divide 72 by the rate, okay, it's going to show you how fast a value will double. And I say it this way because for most people, they think about the rule of 72 when they're thinking about growing their money, right? Compound interest, Jackie and Joseph. The truth is, the rule of 72 also affects everyone in our daily lives because the rule of 72 applies on inflation. Inflation, or right now, what we call hyperinflation. So, this little slide over here is going to show that three items, the Big Mac meal, whether you eat McDonald's or not. I'm just showing an example. Big Mac meal, a dozen eggs, and gas. So a dozen eggs back in 1995 is 60 cents. So that means if inflation was 3%, that means after about 25 years, it should only be $1.20 after 25 years. Now, this is 1995, so we're on 30 years, but it wasn't, right? It went from 60 cents to $4, which means it's 6x. It didn't just multiply twice or two times, it actually multiplied six times, almost seven times. The Big Mac, yes, it doubled twice, went from $3 to $6 to now $12. So that's a 4x in 30 years. But the dozen eggs, it's not just 4x, it's 6x, right? And gas right now, whether you live in which state, maybe for Californians, it's a little bit more. Us here in Texas, it also probably just doubled twice. So from 80 cents went to 160 and then went to 320 is where we're at right now. But I think in other states it's more like 650. So it actually doubled three times for other folks. So if inflation was 3% and it should only double one time every 24, 25 years, why is it doubling every 12, 15 years? Because why? Because it's not 3%, it's 5%. Yes, your company probably just gives you a 3% raise. Yes, if you're collecting Social Security, what they call COLA or cost of living adjustment is only a 3% addition to that Social Security because they're saying inflation is 3%. It's not. It's 5%, if not more, right? Inflation is caused by the printing of money. So the Federal Reserve will put more dollars, not actual print, actual paper money, just infuse the system with currency, and it actually lowers the value of the dollar, which is why these things that we buy are going to be a bit more expensive. So, given that whole idea, I'm going to have you at least ponder on these four things that the rule of 72 will affect directly in your life One of them you can't control, but there are three things. If you somehow can figure out how to control, then you can become wealthy. You can become wealthy. There's one common thread to everyone who became wealthy, whether it's in America or other parts of the country, and I'm going to show you what that is. Out of everyone who's either a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire, going on trillionaire for a few guys, um, there's one thing that's in common with them, and I'll show you through the rule of 72. So the rule of 72, number one, affects your income. So essentially, because of your income dictates how much you can save. Okay, if you're making $100,000 a year and you're spending $100,000 a year, then you're saving zero, right? So we're gonna call out monthly expenses too, or your expenses too. That's affected by the rule of 72 as well. You also want to consider how you're building your assets. So we have these 6 steps that we walk people through, making sure that your cash flow is good, making sure that you're protected. We help people with college savings, we help people with life insurance, we help them with retirement, we'll transfer, building emergency funds, just those steps to make sure that you're on the right track. But outside of those basic stuff, I want to have you at least get exposed to what really builds wealth, because something happened to me in 2009 when I started doing this business while I was still doing architecture. Because architecture, I was in a way still had a job for most of the years I was doing it. So I was getting about like what most people are getting, 3 to 5% rate increase of your pay, right? Who here is getting about 3%, 4% increase from their employer? Just type one on the chat. You're getting a little bit of increase. Who's getting a 20% increase every year from your employer? Type two. If you're getting a 20% increase. Okay, right? So it's about 1, 4, maybe 3 or 4%. So I was getting the same way, but then when I started building this business, it changed. My income started growing at about 30%. At about 30%. And so that's what I want to show with you guys right now, because 72 divided by 3, which is essentially your rate of growing your income, is 24. That means your income will only double every what? 24 years. So if you're making 10,000 a month right now, then you're just saving 10% of your income, and you're saving 1,000 a month. You're saving 1,000 a month in the bank, right? How long before you save 100,000, right? Around 10 years, right? Give or take, maybe 8 years. But then after 24 years, I won't be 40 anymore. I'm going to be 64. And that's the only time when my income from 10,000 a month is going to double to 20,000 a month. And if I'm still saving 10%, at that point, I'm now saving 2,000 a month. Okay. So that's the first way your compound interest affects your lifestyle, because your income only grows by about 3%. Monthly expenses. Now, because we talked about inflation, I'm going to divide 72 divided by 5, which is the rate of inflation. So that means everything you're spending, your monthly spending, is going to double every 15 years. You guys follow? So again, if we're starting at 40 years old, in about 15 years, you're going to be what? 55? Your 7,000 a month expenses is going to be 14,000 a month. 14,000 a month. And by the time you're 70 years old, just retired 5 years ago, and now you're enjoying, you're going to need now 28,000 a month, which is about 336,000 per year. Now, a lot of people don't think about these things because I'd rather what? Watch Netflix and do all that stuff. But this is real. Inflation or hyperinflation is real. And so we got to go figure out how to grow our money better or faster than inflation. So I'm going to talk about retirement growth, where most people are either saving on a 401k, 403b, IRA, and you're getting an average return of what we call the S&P 500 index. You guys are familiar with that? That's like the 500 most traded stocks or the 500 largest companies in America. And some are performing well, like these AI companies, NVIDIA, and like obviously Tesla, Microsoft, all those companies. And then we got those other ones that are not doing so well. So on average, they'll do 8% throughout the history of the stock market. So 72 divided by 8 is 9. So that means, how's my time here? Oh, I got like 5 minutes with you guys. So that means that 150,000, okay, let's just say that's the balance you have in your 401k. If you even have that at 40 years old, it will become 300,000 by the time you're 49, 600,000 at 58, and then 1.2 million when you turn 67. Now, the challenge with this is, again, maybe 1.2 million looks like a lot if that's your income this year, right? But this is going to be in a future wherein you're going to be needing 336 after tax dollars. So for you to even make 336 to cover the bills, you need to make 500,000. That means this 1.2, bye-bye in about 2.5 years. Does that make sense? That's why the flyer on your 3 million 401k won't be even enough, because right around 6 years, it's all gone if you're going to be spending about that, about 7,000 a month in today's dollars, right? And the last one here is your credit rate, which is, so I'm talking about pay increase rate, inflation rate, S&P 500 rate of return, and then credit card rate. Because credit cards, they're almost like this thing that's just going to really, it's almost like a hole in your pocket, that if you're not bringing down your balance to zero, if you have, let's just say you have like a $20,000 balance, and then you paid off 1,000, but then you use it again for $1,000, it's just a wash. And that interest, that 28% interest, 30%, 26%, 24%, that'll compound. That'll compound. That means every 2.5 years. This happened to me when back in 2008, when we were just using credit cards because we weren't making any income, and suddenly our credit card ballooned to like $100,000, right? So that's how quickly it will just grow. Every 2.5 years, it goes from 20, 40, 80, 160, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the good part is we were able to pay off everything in about 6 years. No, 8 years into the business. But the cool part is when I started the business, all I could save was about $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month. And 10 years later, sorry, not $5,000 a month, $5,000 a year. A year. So $5,000 a year, but 10 years later, I was able to save $100,000 a year. So from 5,000 to 100,000 in 10 years, that's a 30% annual return, or that's a 30% growth of my savings. I wasn't growing my savings at 3%. I was growing my savings at 30%. And then someone was able to teach me to invest, to not just get 8%, to get 12, 15%. And that's how people build their wealth. You actually grow your income faster, and you learn how to invest better. So at the end of the day, you want to compound your income faster. You want to turn expenses into tax deductions. You also want to compound money faster, right? 72 divided by 1, which is a bank account, that's 72 years before it doubles, okay? And then lastly, you want to eliminate debt faster. When we bought the home here in Dallas, my wife and I, our plan was to just, yeah, we have a 30-year mortgage, but if we attack the principal, we will have pay this off in by year 12, and we would have end up saving about $700,000 in interest, right? So when you start looking at things that way, you'll be able to eliminate the things that really you're paying so much on: taxes, interest, but again, you got inflation. So, so what do we do to help people? How do we actually get people to do more and have more? Well, the traditional way of saving money is through a 401k. And if you're saving $2,000 a month and you're getting a $500 matching from your employer, growing at 8%, in about 20 years, you'll have about 1.1 million. And in retirement, you could probably take out about $57,000 a year. But because that's a 401k, that is taxable 57,000. So what we do is what I call the free plus tax-free strategy. Again, that's free plus tax-free strategy. So the same 2,000 that you're putting on a 401k, for us, we will teach you how to reallocate it in three buckets, three different buckets. And the first bucket is the free money. So I'm going to find out how much your employer is matching. If it's 500 a month, then go put in 500 a month on that 401k or 403b. Get the free money, but not the whole 2,000, just the 500, get the free money. The next one, the remaining 1,500, I'm going to help you build something called an infinity bank, or building your own bank. That's year 1 and 2. And then come year 3 onwards, we will reduce that to maybe $500 a month. Eventually, that will build up to about 160,000. And then your 401k is going to build up to about 570,000. But the third account, the 1,000 a month starting year 3, we're going to put it on these most advanced investments that are available in the top financial firms, right? Fidelity is one of the companies we're partnered with. Fidelity currently manages $18 trillion. And so that means they have about $100 billion budget to research what are the best companies, what are the companies that are supporting AI, what are the companies that are going to do extremely well in the future. And their top performing mutual fund averages about 32% a year. So 72 divided by 32, that's a little bit over two, right? So your money's gonna double almost every 2 years, which is crazy. And so we help you at least put your money on those platforms, which will lead your total nest egg compared to maybe just 1.1 million, at the very least double it. At the very least double it. But what's cool is when you start withdrawing, you would end up withdrawing here 57,000. You would end up withdrawing here about 168,000. And this is taxable. This is tax-free when we set it up. By the way, when you start receiving Social Security, because you have taxable income, you will have taxable Social Security. With us, because we set you up with a tax-free income, you will have tax-free Social Security. So if between you and your spouse, you're making 160 and she's making 160, and then you got an additional 50,000 from Social Security, she gets an additional 50,000 from Social Security. That's, I don't know, that's 420,000 tax free, right? So that's how we set it up. And the other one we do is what we call Roth conversions. I won't go too much into it because I'm a bit out of time. But essentially, we can convert, when someone turns 59 and a half, we can do something called a staggered Roth conversion, which means we're going to convert your taxable income to tax-free dollars from 59 to 60, and not just take out the taxes, but also double your money and put you on, again, the same investments that we'd be putting our income clients are. And so the last part of what I want to explain is when I was explaining what happened to my income. Why did my income start increasing by 30, 40, 50% every year? How does that happen? Well, the thing is, any kind of business is able to do that, but it's not the business that you can do when you're by yourself. So I want you to, whether you understand what a general contractor does, A general contractor subcontracts plumbers, electricians, painters, HVAC guys to be able to deliver on a project. While a primary care physician, they kind of know the basic stuff, but if you need a specialist, right, an RT, a PT, a surgeon, a head, like all those stuff, they will, again, direct you to those sources, those specialists. Well, we're the same over here. I'm not the money manager. I'm not the insurance company. I'm not the living trust lawyer, right? But I will direct you to the best specialists. I will direct you to the best mutual fund company, to the best insurance company, to the best annuity company, to the best long-term care. Whichever you're looking for, we will direct you to the number one company in that space. In that space. And I could give you comparables that compare to this company. This company will what? Will make your money work the hardest, which means you will accumulate the most money if you park your money there. Now, if I'm a developer, a real estate developer, if I only had one general contractor, I can only do one project. But if I want to do multiple projects and I want to keep on building, I need more general contractors so I can just do more work. Same thing with a doctor. If I want to go from just being a clinic to maybe building a hospital, I need more doctors, because more doctors or more general contractors, we can end up building more and helping more people. That whole concept is true with every business. McDonald's open up more locations to serve more people. Subway, these franchise businesses. Costco has multiple locations. Walmart has multiple locations, and you don't even see the owner, right? Because they built a system. So we have people that we will help when they're still in the accumulation phase, accumulation clients, and help them with what I showed you guys, a tax-free strategy. And so the way we work like general contractors or doctors who want to build a hospital, we also build a team. I call my team the wealth architects because I am building a team of people who will design and build your net worth. We are in the net worth business. And if you would like to continue your job, provide security, but on the side, to be able to build something on the side, and I can only tell you so many benefits, right? If you can, between you and five agents that we will train and develop. We have something like a McDonald's University where we train people to kind of like explain the things I just explained to you. And if you can help two clients or two families, and your five agents can also help too, right? To reallocate their 1,000 a month 401k, or maybe it's husband and wife with $500 each, or maybe it's just one person. Hey, maybe it's one person has 2,000 a month. But if you can help them do that, each of your five agents helping two clients, they'll make about 7,000. The way we're structured is just like if I was the owner of the hospital and my doctor helps, I don't know, 30 patients, same thing. If my five agents help two clients, that's about 10, and I help two as well, I'll make about 57,000 that month. 57,000. The same thing with, this is for accumulation, which means people are saving. Now, I also told you people who are retiring, Roth conversion. The same thing, if I have another group of people who will specialize in converting 401ks to tax-free retirement, if each of my agent helps one person convert 300,000, each of them makes 5,250, that's part-time, and then I make about 42,000. So between this division and this division, both making about $50,000, that's how you make six-figure per month income. And there's multiple people in the company who are doing that right now. So in closing, this is essentially a business in a box. But if you're coming out here checking us out on what you can do with your money, there's more than so many things that we can do. But I really believe the lifetime financial coaching that you're going to get is just so invaluable. You have a personal strategy that kind of changes with your life as your life changes. And then I think one of the biggest things we do here is what we call leadership development. The total value when I had it appraised was almost the worth of 1 or 2 semesters of business school. The value that you're going to get in terms of education. I don't think you're going to learn in business school the stuff you learned over here. But the value is about 42,500. But that's not the cost for you, okay? If you want to get started with us, it's going to be about $425. That's $125 to register. And we have this annual training in about 2 months in Las Vegas that if you really want to succeed, it's $300 to register there. And that's why it's $425. Plus there's some state licensing fees you got to take care of. So there's 2 paths, right? First path is you can figure this out by yourself. The second path is you work with our team. Work with our team. And you got a bunch of people here. There's about 40 people who's in the audience right now. And so this is my challenge to you. With what you saw today, in terms of what I shared with you, you have suddenly a different path that's now ahead of you. Okay, it's what I call an identity shift. Something changed, and now you believe something's possible. So maybe your friend, your coworker, your family member invited you, was cared about you enough, and had you come here and listen to what we're sharing. This identity shift, right? This is above what we call your comfort zone, because you're looking this way based on what you're currently doing right now, which is the path of what your career is going to lead you to. But suddenly you have this value add, and suddenly you're looking this way. You're looking this way. This will only last for about 24 to 48 hours before your comfort zone, your environment, brings you back to status quo. And this is what happens to about 95% of people who end up not becoming wealthy. Okay? The only way to get you start going to the path of your dreams is when you see an idea and you believe the person who connected you to it is someone that you can trust. And if the idea, in a way, kind of like makes sense, then go take action. Just for the sake of just learning, right? There's zero risk here because you're still going to keep your job. 425, right, is an investment. That's a tax deduction. That's literally almost like a class you can go to. Some people, that's like a family dinner, right? But I think it's going to be the best investment you're ever going to have to your path towards financial freedom. And so you were invited by one of our partners, and I'm done with my presentation. I just now want to encourage you to be able to set up a time within the next 24, 48 hours to book a time with them to answer your questions, but more importantly, share with them your dreams, share with them the stuff that you would love to take out of your life. Maybe you want more time, right? I think all of us would love to have more time. But more importantly, maybe there's something that you want to do for people and you want to make an impact to the world. I think contribution is something that all of us should aspire to do. So, again, my name is AG, that's short for Alfonso Garcia. I hope you like my message, and looking forward to working with some of you guys who are here for the first time. Looking forward to meet you, and hopefully we'll see you in Vegas, and we'll be here